Hi, welcome to the 6-part video series on how to play Crossroads. This is the first video, and today we're going to look at the intro and the main riff. Now before you start working on this tune, there's two things you need to kind of look at. One is you need to learn the lyrics to the song. Now there's only 4 verses, and with it being a blues, there's not that many lyrics to learn, but it's important that you get into the spirit of the song by understanding what it's about. And if you know the lyrics and have a go at singing it, even if you have a pretty dodgy singing voice like me, I'm not a great singer, but it doesn't stop me bashing the song out at parties and on gigs and stuff like that. So just to get into the spirit of the song, and it'll help you learn the riff also, is to learn the lyrics. So I've included that. I will have sent you a print off of the lyrics there. Now also is to talk about your sound. Now as we know, Eric Clapton used to use a thing called woman tone with his Gibson, where he'd turn the tone down on his SG. Now we're all striving to kind of copy his great sound and everything, but really you just need a good, honest kind of rock sound for this, and that basically means don't go over the top with your effects. So you can hear the way my guitar is set up. I have it set up where I'm on the bridge pickup. Yeah, everything's on full on the guitar. I'm going straight into the amp with any pedals, but on the amp I've turned the gain up quite a bit. But I don't have really any reverb on. I have just a very short delay, and it just sounds like this, da-ga-ga, da-ga-ga, da-ga-ga. It's a very short delay. It's not a delay where, you know, like a Dave Gilmour style delay or a Joe Satriani style delay. It just gives it that kind of presence. It's almost like the way I set up my guitars is quite rockabilly a lot of the time. It just gives it a nice bit of rock and roll sound, you know. So if I play the riff, it sounds pretty authentic. It's going to cut through when you're playing with the band. Now when you try to copy woman tone, a lot of people, they do overdo that kind of bassiness, and then when you play with the band it doesn't cut through, and then you end up twiddling with things and it's all a little bit it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like Eric Clapton. So it's got to have enough poking in the sound, enough top end to cut through the bass and the drums, and just when you're playing live. So it's important 2 things to think about that, just the lyrics and your sound. Keep your sound very simple. It just needs to be slightly overdriven, not too overdriven. We're not talking about super hard rock here, just slightly overdriven, like the amp is really cranked up, and then just a really super short delay, like that. I know it sounds a bit weird, but I can basically play any guitar and any amp setup and pretty much make it sound half decent by using this principle. I know it sounds oversimple, but it works for me. So okay, now into Crossroads. This chart that I've sent you is slightly different looking to probably the way that you normally see charts in tab and that, but I use this a lot with students because it simplifies the notes, and it means I can fit a lot of information onto one page, so you're not flapping around between 16 pages of tab just to learn 12 bars of music, you know. So the number in the circle is the string, the number next to the circle is the fret. So it's as simple as that. The first note, 5th string open, and And then you'll see there's two notes stacked on top of each other. You've got the 3rd string 2nd fret and the 4th string 2nd fret. So you're using your first finger as a little bar, playing the middle 2 strings there. And then you've got the 3rd string open. And then you're going to do a pull off hammer on and pull off on the 3rd string 2nd fret. Then use your 2nd finger on the 5th string 3rd to do a little bend. And that's the main riff. I'm using all downstrokes there. So if you look at this hand, it's all downstrokes, nothing complicated going on there. So if you look at this hand again, I'm going to play the riff. And then it repeats. You can see I put little slashes in between the phrases. Now on the second line you can see that the phrase slightly changes, where instead of using the middle 2 strings, you use the 2nd and the 3rd string to do that double stop, or to play 2 notes at once if you like. If you're playing 2 notes at once, it's called a double stop in music. So you've got the 5th string open, the 3rd and the 2nd string together. So it's quite unusual. It's quite a cool thing that he did there, is he's taken the simple riff and he's just developed it by jumping. I'm going to move this slightly more close so you can see. From the middle 2 strings and then going on to the 2nd and 3rd string. So and again, and then moves it over and back again. So that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? It's not half as complicated as you might think it is. I use the back of my hand a lot to dampen when I'm playing, you know, and that helps me control the sound of the guitar. That's something worth thinking about as well. I'll just show you there. If I play that again, you can see the back of my hand is sitting there. Using that there is really, really important when you're playing live, because your guitar is at such a high volume. You need ways of controlling it. A lot of people will sell you pedals and stuff to do that, but you know, Eric Clapton, Rory Gallagher, Steve Ray Vaughan, all those great guitar players, you know, they didn't rely on external things like most of it was in the hands and the fingers, the sound and the control. So using the back of your hand there just to control notes, especially when you're bending. You know, you can stop the note. You know, you can use it by taking your hand off there, but just having that extra control between the 2 hands is very, very important. It's one of the most important things I find, because especially when you're playing at high volume on a gig. Okay, back to this hand. So we've got the main riff there. And now we go to a D7 chord. So if you just